Okay, let's start with yesterday's trades, current positions, and finish with today's watch list. So Netflix didn't do anything yesterday. CLF had some great earnings, had enormous volume. I bought it here at the opening range highs, 1043 I think. My stop is around this 10 area. Had a big run. I was up like $1.30 or something intraday near the close, and then in after hours they announced an offering. Now that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's actually very good for a stock like this. My guess is the offering price would be around this mid tens. It's a wild guess. And I'm thinking about using that offering price as my stop area. And if it like trades over that price, I'm willing to add to it, to the position, and use that offering price as my stop area. But we'll see. I really don't know where it's gonna be. But considering the demand of shares on the shares yesterday, I can't imagine it being a bad pricing on this one. So again, around 10, mid tens would be a guess. Kala didn't do anything. Pixelworks didn't do anything. AMD. Okay, so Nvidia announced earnings after hours. Initial reaction was down, so I actually added to my AMD short in 1030s. I only added like, I think I did 1500 shares. Yeah, I added 2500 shares. I added 2500 shares 1330 in after hours. But then Nvidia started grinding up in late after hours. I didn't see it because I went to sleep. But in late after hours, started grinding higher. And AMD too. But I'm gonna use this 1080 area as my stop. So I also did tighten. I did add to my position, but I also tightened my stop. So you know, my stop initially was in the low 14s. Now it's in the high 13s. So the overall risk on the trade hasn't really changed. Nugget got stopped out. I gave it 3 days. Didn't go as much as I thought it would. I really hoped this thing would go to 14 plus, but just didn't get there, and that's fine. I ended up taking a small profit on it overall. I think I was up like 6,000 at the highs in the high 13s, and I ended up taking maybe a $1,500 profit on it. ICHR had really good earnings after hours. Really good earnings. And if there is big volume, and let's say if this thing can trade like 100, 200,000 shares in the first 10, 15 minutes of the day, it's very unlikely. But if it can do it, I'm willing to add to my position and use like the lows of the day as my stop for everything. ORX kept on going. I have very few shares left. Man, I was long 10,000 shares at 357 last week. Got stopped out of it. Got back in 5,000 shares on the range break. And oh god, I'm so pissed. Why did it have to go red on this day? Oh, let's see. JNC kept going higher yesterday. I still think this thing can go to 25 or something. I tightened up my stop. I think it's gonna be in the $18 area now. ATH went higher. I sold some. NAK, I actually bought back a few shares before the close. I was long 15,000 shares near the open yesterday, but I got stopped out. Like that was like a third of my position. I took a starter. I anticipated a breakout a little bit, but it failed. Never really broke out, so I got stopped out, and I bought back 10,000 shares, tiny 10,000, before they close. So I mean, wow, this one looks so good. I think this thing can go to $4 if it breaks out of this formation. That's about a 28% move. It's not a big move percentage-wise. And you know, this is a scenario you can risk like 10 cents to make $1 ish. And it's ultra liquid, so you can do a lot of size. So yeah, it actually had a hit piece from Street Sweeper intraday. It dipped a little bit, but then it came roaring back before the close. The same thing happened actually the day before. It dipped intraday and then came roaring back before the close. So the Street Sweeper hit piece, it's irrelevant. They're basically saying the management has been pumping the stock in their SEC filings, and which they have. They kind of have, but it doesn't matter. The price action is giving a very clear signal, and they were bearish on the stock at $1, so back in August. So yeah, if they held their short, they're probably heavily underwater. Let's see, Labu. I got long. I've been talking about this one for a while now, so nothing more to add here. POLM, main loser of the day. Actually, I think, yeah, main loser of the day. I got long near the open. Had a range here at 520 area, so I got long like 519 or something. Popped a little bit, and then it went. I think it went red on a day, and I just took a loss. A small loss on it. So it has a nice looking chart. Ideally, it goes sideways for a few more days. I do think it's gonna break down. Insiders have been selling a lot the past few days into this big move, so that says something about the confidence in this one. This thing is up on nothing. It really is up on nothing. No news, no anything, just pure momentum. So it's probably gonna break down, but if it sets up, I'm willing to trade it on the long side, because there are a lot of shorts in this thing, and it could easily have another $1 in it on the upside. COTV, oh yeah, this one. So I was trying to get it on a dips. This one was frustrating. I saw it breaking out here in the 3620s, 3630s, but I hesitated. Right, and 5 minutes later, the stock was in the low mid 37. So I was looking for a dip back to mid 36s to buy it. I had a small order in 36.65. I think I had 500 shares, and then I had 500 shares somewhere here, another 500 here, and I got filled on 200 shares, and I just sold it before it closed. No reason to hold position like that overnight. But it's still on watch. If it can dip out of the gate to mid 36s, I'm willing to buy a position and use like a 36 area as the stop. I really like this one. Recent IPO, it has been building higher lows for like 7-8 months now, or 6-7 months. Had big volume. You know, it looks really good. This thing could go to 40-45 very easily. VRX tried to reclaim the 50-day. Actually, did reclaim the declining 50-day. And this one is known for making big moves off the lows. And now with the biotechs breaking out, this thing could get some juice and go back to $18 or something. I'm actually willing. I think I had 5,000 or 6,000 shares intraday, but it closed kind of weak, so I sold most of it. I only held 2,000 overnight. So lows of the day is my stop, and highs of yesterday, I'm adding back my position and using some kind of a, I don't know, 30-cent stop or something. Just a tight stop for potential $2, $3, $4 run. ETRM, it anticipated breakout of this range a little bit at big volume. It's been going sideways for about a month now since the big run and pullback. I think if it takes out this 850, 860, this thing goes back to 10, 12 or something. So if one can find a setup to risk maybe, I don't know, 30, 40 cents, potentially make $2, $3, that's a good risk reward. And again, this is a piece of shit. no fundamental reason for this thing to be up in the first place, and it's just momentum, pure momentum. We're in this kind of a market that these things are going, and you know the best thing to do is shut the fuck up and trade the setups, and just ignore the horrible fundamentals of these things. There's just nothing going on here. Yeah, so those were the trades and positions. Short watch list, not really excited about this one. Now, I was talking about this tight range on Tesla a few days ago, and how I said I was not gonna trade it, which I didn't, because I thought the earnings were somewhere like this week, but apparently they are in a couple of weeks. So, god damn it! You rarely get such tight bullish setups on stocks like these, and shoulda, coulda, woulda. Now it's actually on a short watch. Look at the longer term chart, as it's kind of a declining trend line here. Now if it can hit this high 270s, low 280s, assuming the stock can go straight up, if it goes up straight up another 2-3 days, it could be a nice mean reversion setup where you can maybe risk $2-3 to potentially make 10-20 on the downside. Deckers, not really excited about this one. Probably needs to go up one more day. Same thing with Wooba and PLX before I get interested in these. Just stalking these. So let's start with this one. This is just very thin. I'm thinking about removing it from my watch list. This is earnings next week. Recent IPO. Now recent IPOs have been hot lately, so you never know when these things are wake up and go. May have a little bit of a run into earnings. Has very good earnings. Higher lows, tight range, you know, could go. Same thing with PI, very good earnings. Has a little bit of a flag here. Looks just very good. Now APRI looks exactly like OREX, and this is the kind of market these pieces of shits are working very well. I mean, it looks exactly like OREX. Just, yeah. Nothing more to add here. NAK, nothing more to add here. This thing is one of the fastest growing stocks in the US market right now. A few more days of tightening up and this would be a 5-star. Long setup. Just bunch of recent IPOs, some OTC wheat stocks. Like a lot of these broke down past few days. A few of them are holding up, like this CNAP. You never know when these things wake up and go. I was actually long it here, had a nice little move, 55-60%. Thin stocks, you can't do a lot of size, but you know when they go up 50-70%. So kind of can be good trades anyways. Pod had some really bad hit pieces on it late last year. Some really bad hit pieces, but you know we're in a bull market, so no one gives a shit. Looks good. OCN looks good. Higher lows, has a range. This is a scenario where you can risk, when it breaks out, you can risk maybe 10 cents to make, I don't know, 50. Another recent IPO. Biotech, or yeah, pretty much a biotech. If you can tighten up a few more days, like the sector had a breakout, or at least the XBI and IBB did break out of this long-term trend line, higher lows all the way. You know, if this thing keeps going, a lot of these biotechs are gonna break out one after another. And I'm talking about these are real stocks, not stuff like OREX and APRI. It's just frauds, pretty much. CNX, I think like it had a failed breakout a few days ago. It faded back into the range, held the higher lows. It's basically back into this range. Now, if this thing can go sideways another 2-3 days, so the 20-day moving average can catch up, this will be a 5-star long setup. Could be really good. Not excited about this one, but it looks decent. If it has big volume, I may trade it. TK looks really good. May run into earnings. Very clean, nice uptrend. Been going sideways for a year. more than a year. Before that was beaten down. This thing is, you know, breaks out, can go to 12, 13 very easily. Another OTC wheat stock. Couple more days sideways would be nice. Now GGB, like yesterday, a lot of steel names broke out. Like CLF is the one I did trade. Ironically, also had a offering. X, AKS, they all broke out. This GGB, this is some kind of a Latin American steel stock. It has a little bit of range here, so it's a watch. This thing has great earnings, ultra thin stock, but I'm looking for a setup. So those, okay, so bunch of names that I'm looking for shorter term trades, long or short. Just micro cap stocks with volume, just pure momentum plays. Oh yeah, so I want to talk about this Chagix. You know, basically I was thinking about taking either HEX long. No, sorry, PULM, sorry. So this is the one I lost money on. I tried to anticipate this range break here. And I had basically two choices, ATNM and PULM. I was looking at both. They both had some volume near the open. So I chose to do PULM, which I lost money on. Instead, ATNM, you know, it only went up 32% intraday. So, yeah, this could have easily been a 5-figure trade, but yeah, that's trading. So a lot of these I'm setting alerts. There were a few of these I wanted to talk about. Oh yeah, IMMU. So, wow, it has really faded off the pre-market high. So this has very similar news to Kala. I'm not gonna go through it. Basically, they got some upfront. Kala got like 50% of the market cap upfront. These also got like 50% of the market cap upfront. But it looks like a sell the news scenario because people are actually looking for a buyout in this thing. So even though they got a shitload of cash, they're still selling it off. Because a lot of funds and etc. were holding this for a buyout. That was the thesis for this thing to go up. So even though it's really good news, it's not the news people or the longs were looking for. So it's probably not going to be a long here. Or maybe it will be in a few days if it sets up just like Kala did. This one had a ridiculous price target by one of their underwriters. Now CWH is another one I'm looking to get on dips, just like the COTV. Recent IPO had a big run a few months back. I can get it on dips here, mid 32s, maybe use like 32 as my stop. This thing, you know, it can go to 35, 37. This thing has super earnings. Now, it's actually had a couple of really good earnings reports already past 7-8 months, but I think this thing could go to 40 or something eventually. So I'm thinking, yeah, if we can set up a little bit here, that would be nice. Yeah, that's it.